So in our previous lessons, we read chapter 7, to say his father, and chapter 8 respectively, which is titled O Name, One Ear Thief. So here we are yet again with another different style. Before we used to go to live from different locations, but today we decided, how about, we sit at one place and do this together with Malam Ahmad. And then chapter 9 is what we are getting into. Thank you so much. Please, we need your kind and rapt attention.
Thank you, Malam. Chapter 9, the retreating forests. Abu went on till he came to the next village, and the first thing he did was to show himself to the king. The king received him as a very interesting and important person. He handed him over to a man who took great care of him. Abu remained in his house in this town for 3 or 4 days. On the first night, thieves raided the horse, and Abu's horse and the money disappeared. He reported the matter to the king, and the king gave order that the thief should be sought. But the vigilance of the police went unrewarded. For in the end, culprits were not found, and Abu made up his mind not to revenge. His hosts advised him, as many other hosts had done before him, do not go to this Kurmurukuki. Those who go there never return. Leave vengeance for Allah to perform. Go back your home. Thank you, but I cannot go back. I would rather reach Kurmurukuki and die than take one step backwards. It was now some years since Abu had left home, and this was made fourth man to warn him. Still, remain firm. My resolve is to go forward all the time. The man gave him 2 farms, saying that he was a near messenger to the king. It is little, but I am sure it will help you. It is wrong that you are deprived of your Allah's given wife. Before Abu left, the king of the town assisted him with 100 shillings, a horse and clothes. He slept on the way and woke up, and slept and woke, and still went on. He arrived at a certain village, at last outpost, but one before the Kurmurikiki, a village remarkable for its poverty. He got work as a goat herd, earning milk and lure for his pains. The people regarded him with suspicion, and many times he overheard them calling him a madman. If not, why does he say he is on his way to Kurmerukuki? One day he became tired of life, and he again asked them the way to Kurmerukuki. The people at last gave him a youth who took him to the top of a hill and pointed to a black path shimmering in the middle of rolling grassland. That is Kurmi, or forest. Go to your death. I have never known a single man who went there and came back. They always pass through this village on their way. They never come back. He offered Abu no advice, no did he try to dissuade him. In fact, he looked pleased to be rid of him. Abu went on his way, and very soon he was alone in the enormous plain. From time to time, he lifted his face and gazed at the shimmering black spots. Ahead of him, Kurmurukuki. With every step he took, the forest seemed to retreat further into the grassland. He had paused rest, with his hopes mounting ever higher. He was glad he had so carefully kept the God that his father had given him. Now that the wonderful sap was almost within reach, he had in which to place it. When he got the forest, the man told him that the substance was never to be touched by bare hand. This is the end of chapter 9. Mala Ahmad will carry on to chapter 10.
Alright. So chapter 10 now with me, Mala Muhammad. He's just the same name as me here.
So what? I didn't give any words.
Alright.
You are the one to give the words.
Oh, alright. So words from chapter 9, which is the retreating forest, are like dissuade. The word dissuade means to make someone like disagree. Yes, like Kasakari, and then advise to give someone words that will make him change his opinion or change his mind or maybe do something entirely different from what he intended to do. Kamar shawara, ka sa mutum ya canja daga abin da ya so ko kuma ka sa yayi abin da bai so ba. And then we have disappear, meaning to become like invisible, to leave the place. Yes. And then kabata, that's disappeared. Nice. What again?
So you remember who are students?
All right.
From the title of the chapter, it is called the retreating forest. Right. So the word forest, we need to know forest.
Yes. So forest is a place like a bush where daji. Yes, daji. And then what again? Yes, Kurumurukuti. So it's a name given to the forest. It's a name given to a deadly forest where people who normally go there, they never return. Wuri ne mai haɗari, dangerously placed. And in suka je ana ta ma gaya masa, the people have been advising him not to go there because many people try but they never come back alive.
Let me add something. But from the words, from the name given to the forest, you know it is a dangerous place.
Yes.
Yes. Whoever is there never come back alive.
Yes.
They go for their death.
Yes. But because Abu is a disturbing or mischievous or naughty man, but he decided like, oh, let me just go there and die than to take even one step backward, as you heard from the chapter read by Malam Ahmad. So now chapter 10, the forest of death. So for 2 months, Abu walked on. All the time, the black mass in the distance seemed to mock his efforts. Try as he would, it never seemed to get any nearer. He fed on forest fruits until his tongue was sore. He tramped until his feet blistered and healed again. At last, he saw a pillar of smoke rising out of the kurmi. His hopes mounted. A new energy flooded his entire body, and he did not pause for a moment until he came to the house from which the smoke arose. A man was skinning antelope near a fire. He was a great hulk of a man, and his body was completely covered with hair. Abu was afraid to talk to him. "Who are you?" the man roared out, reaching for his bow. I am a poor traveler. I am on my way to Kurmirukuki. The hairy man put down his bow and laughed for a long time. Ha 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 ha. Yes, this is how they suffer. Here am I in this bush for a year, and now I haven't seen a human face. And then the first man I see went to go and die in Kurmurukuki. Ha 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 ha. A shiver ran down Abu's spine. Show me the way, he stammered. I will show you soon enough. I am a hunter in this district, but there is a certain limit beyond which I may not travel. I will take you there when I am ready, but not farther. The hunter housed Abu for 7 days, nursing his souls, feeding him back to his proper way, and all the time telling him to give up the idea of visiting Kurmurukuki. Abu laughed, as though the man was talking like a child. I did not go back when the Kurmin was yet a dream. Now that I can almost thought it with my hands. You ask me to go back? Listen, on my way to this place, I have been robbed, beaten, put in jail, my ear has been cut off, and yet you are a brave man indeed. Have no fear about my return. I have a strong reason for believing that I shall return. And what is that? My dear friend, it is a long story. I have been badly treated in this world just because I have no money. He shook his head, and the hunter appeared so deeply sympathetic that he told him the story of Malam Sheikh. Do not try to dissuade me as you have done so far. It will be no use. I leave for Kurmirukuki tomorrow. The next morning, the hunter led him to his limit, and with tears on his grisly, hairy face, shook his hand. I cannot go any further. Good luck, and may Allah bless you. Abu walked until well into the afternoon, and at last arrived at the forest. It was a terrible forest. This Kurmurukuki, even at midday, no light penetrated into its depth, and it was completely trackless. Abu walked his way inside, through the thorns and stinging insects and snakes. He wandered about in it all day, and at night he slept. For days on end he made the little headway. At the last it became clear to him that he would never know the right tree in such gloom, and among so many. Abu wept. He had come thus far. He had borne untold suffering and was at the end of his journey, but where was the substance, he thought? What was the use of carrying about the God if he was going to put nothing into it? One night, he was awakened by a brilliant glow. Something was shining at the foot of a tree. Cautiously, he made his way to the bright spot, and with a sudden leap, lunged at it. but his hands came in contact with something cold and slippery, a python with a yell. He thrust it away and it thudded heavily to the ground. Abu could not sleep that night. He walked about the forest, unable to get the horror of the python out of his mind. Every moment he expected it to attack him. It was some day later when he again saw that glittering object. This time it was higher up in a tree, and Abu threw a stick at it. There was a mighty explosion. He was plumb as high as the treetop, to land again on a carpet of spikes and insects. He lay there senseless for a long time. His mouth was battered and swollen. His face cut in many places. One of his eyes had been blinded. But he had not lost his precious God. When he came out of his coma, he was quite certain that he was going to die in the forest. He crawled to his knees but fell back helpless.
He crawled to his knees but fell back helpless. 2 weeks passed, and nature seemed to have helped him recover his strength. He could stagger around on his feet, though his body was as stiff as wood. Soon afterwards, he stumbled blindly against the glittering object again. He pushed himself away from it, and when he touched it, a gasp of surprise escaped him. In his hands was an old woman. She was so old that her body was shriveled and face was shriveled and face one mass of wrinkles. The hair on her head was white as a bleaching cloth, and she was weak with the burden of her years. "My son," she covered, "what is it that you are prepared to sacrifice so much for? What do you want in this enraged, enchanted forest of death?" Abu mumbled his story all over again, and the old woman told him how very sorry she was to hear it. I'm going to give you this serf, not because you have been deprived of your rightful wife and want vengeance, but out of pity for your sufferings. She went to a tree and made 3 marks on it. "Have you got a container for the serf?" Abu produced the gourd he had kept for so long, and she filled it for him. Run out of this forest before I harm you, quick!" As the old woman spoke, her face changed. Hair grew out around her eyes, and her body took on the form of a leopard. She uttered a wild cry and chased the terrified Abu out of Kurmurukuki. He found his way back to the hunter's lair. This is the end of chapter 10. So now we are bringing some words from the story.
Yes.
There is a word called By the time he was afraid, where he was shivering.
Yes,
So
yes.
the word shiver,
Yes.
shivering. Let me illustrate.
Yes,
Shivering.
yes, shivering.
Shivering is when you are afraid of something and your body is what? Shivering is making continuous move.
Like if you are feeling cold,
Yes.
or if you are sick, burning with cold temperature.
Yes, that is.
So and then the word what again? Like shining. So it's when the thing shine, or when, like we said, the thing shines. It's when there is a reflection of something light,
where it gives glitter.
Yes, glitter. So haske. Yes, it's shining kamar da taurari suke, ko kuma abin da ka sa a yi reflecting a rana. And then what you yes, python, mesa, it's a kind of a snake. Yes, very terrible one. Yes, with a very gigantic venom. Yana da dafi mai kaifi. So shine python. Suna mesa da Hausa, wata macijiya ce. And then slippery, abu mai santsi. Yes, from the word sleep. And then the word sleep is quite different from the word sleep that we know, because sleep, nasansin, is short E. And then the word is spelled S-L-I-P. Shi kuma sleep da muka sani, wanda yake nau'in meaning na bacci ko na kwantsa a ido, ana spelling din shi S-L-E-E-P. Sleep, the long E sound. Yes, that's the difference. And then what again? Harm meaning ka cutar. So shine harm. Before I harm you, if you could remember, she said, run out of this forest. Yes, so before I harm you, quick, the sauri ka fita kafin in cutar da kai. Yes, and what again?
And again, from the end of this chapter,
yes,
you will get it that this old woman who met in the forest, it's not a human being.
Yes, it's not a human being, of course. It's not even like a half human being. It's not a complete human being.
Yes, it's a jinn.
It's a jinn, or demon, if you like.
So, stop here.
Yes, of course. Why not? So then we can do it. No problem.
So I want to bring some words just to highlight the word, how to pronounce, and how the word is being spelled.
Alright.
Because I spelling it, kuma pronunciation it,
alright,
kuma ma'anarta.
Okay.
Ina so ka fito da wanda kake ka san su kuma za ka iya bayarwa a cikin dai story. And for example, from the way you read one word, which I marked, which is flat. There's somewhere you call it fluid. This is called,
it's flat.
Yes.
This, even though it's two, also it is automatically turned to a sound. Flat sound. It's flat. Yes, it's flat. Yes, it's flat.
Flat. You see, flat again is a noun word. It's a catastrophe.
Yes.
Which water goes.
Yes, and wash away farms. Yes, destroy houses, properties, wash away farms. Yes, what you planted.
So you give one word.
All right. So let me see.
In the process, we give the word and transcribe it and the meaning again.
Yes.
Even the grammatical canals. Yeah, I think it is a noun.
Yes, like for example, even though this word may be simple, yes, may be simple to you. This Yes. So you see, because of the appearance of these two different vowel sounds, people think it's going to be pronounced as to. It's not to, it's touch.
Thank you.
Yes, it's touch.
If it's the sound,
yes, the sound
is one.
Yes, so it's a touched by mere hands, not touch. Yes, so this is number one. And then what again? yes,
very
and
interesting.
Yes, and this. So this is like here. So let's say 3. If you said 3, so you are removing this edge, and then it means a plant. So this is 3. Yes, it's 3. So yes.
You remind me of one of our classmates.
All right. Oh,
yes. 3.
Yes, of course.
So thank you. You close.
Yes. So this is like how far we can go and how much we can take in this our little video. Thank you so much, and then hopefully our dear esteemed listeners will enjoy this program, and then you will learn a lot from it. Thank you so much. This is where we leave it. Next time we'll continue.
Okay, bye.
Bye bye.
Yeah.